Hi everyone, I'm Grant, this is Darren with Ecological. We're just going to show you today how to install the AeroBox, the new version of the AeroBox. That's the one you guys have been waiting for a long time now. A couple of improvements over the other one, definitely the installation time. So with the new method that we have for installing the premium AeroBox, that takes the installation time way down, so we're going to be able to demonstrate that for you guys here. Another improvement is that it locks into place, so we're going to show you those latches as well. So let's get started.
Okay, so I've already taken the AeroBox out of the packaging, which is a shrink wrap, so you just need to be careful if you're using a knife to get that shrink wrap off the box. It also comes with instructions and the hardware kit right inside the AeroBox. These are pretty simple instructions to follow, so the video is going to be helpful, but again, the instructions are pretty clear. I've laid out all of the hardware here along with the tools that the instructions tell me that I need. The first thing that we're going to start with is installing the little tie-down rings onto the AeroBox. So for that you just need a drill, and you can see the locations are already marked here. So it's already pretty much center punched for you, so to speak, and you just will you'll drill out each one of these. The reason why those are pre-drilled is only the premium set comes with the tie-down rings. So again, it only takes a couple of minutes to do that. Then grab your tie-down ring hardware. A couple of nuts and washers. And 7/16 wrench. Now you have to access from both the outside and the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and unlatch the door. That rotate down. And a bolt, and then a nut and washer from the inside. Go ahead and tighten those down. Do that for the other two. Now that I've got the tie-down rings on, I'm going to close the door again. I'm going to flip the AeroBox over so we can put on the wheels. I usually put it on some sort of non-scratching surface, like a blanket or a piece of cardboard. Okay, so the wheels. Go on just with a couple of axle bolts into these threaded inserts here. Go on just with a couple of axle bolts into these threaded inserts here. I'll just put the bolt through the wheel. That in and do the other one. Then grab a 1/2-inch wrench. You'll feel the bolt start to tighten up. If it gets to the point where the wheel doesn't move completely freely, just back it off a little bit. Now the box is ready, we're just going to move that out of the way and get started on the installation hardware. So the AeroBox installation is pretty much the same for any full-size pickup truck. Really, there's a little bit of adjustment for variances in width of the vehicle, which I'll explain how you do a little bit later, as well as the stake pocket here at the tailgate opening might be a little bit different width. So we'll go through that. But in every case, you measure 10¼ inches up from the floor of the bed. So that would be the top surface that the box will be resting on. So if you have a drop-in bed liner or a bed mat that you're going to want the AeroBox on top of, make sure you include that in your measurement. Use a marker that you'll be able to see. So in this case, I'm using just a silver marker, and mark right at about 10¼ inches, again, from the floor of the truck bed. And do that on both sides. Once you have your 10¼ inch mark, you take your striker bracket with the striker facing inward and center that mark on within the center slot on the bracket. Now, depending on the geometry of your stake pocket, see, this General Motors design only has a limited flat space, whereas like a Ford, a Ram will have a much larger flat space. You never want to have the bracket rear edge rearward of the rearward surface of your stake pocket. And you may need to move it forward depending on whether you've got some other geometry here on the tailgate that might interfere with the box when you close it. So hopefully you kind of work that out when you dry fit the box into the bed. But in general, you should be, say, within 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch forward of the back of the stake pocket for any type of truck. And that should give you a good installation position. There is some adjustment capability once you have your fasteners in, but try to get it right where it needs to be. And then try to keep the bracket parallel to the ground, and you can really do that by looking at this rear edge and seeing that that's roughly in line with the rear edge of the stake pocket. Then what I do is I just mark the interior of each one of those slots. Now, for the most stability of the bracket, you're going to want your fasteners offset so that they're not all in a line. But again, the more you offset them, the less adjustability that you'll have. So if you're pretty sure about your position, then I would put them fairly towards the ends of your slots. So the center one towards the forward end, and then the two top and bottom towards the rear end of the bed. And that'll give you your biggest spread of fasteners to give you the most stiffness and stability of the bracket when it's installed. So now I'll do that same exercise to the other side, and then we'll start with the fastener process. So I'm going to center punch each one of my hole locations for my my pre-bolt fasteners, and I like to center punch it. Make sure you're centered vertically within the slot. That'll make your fit a lot nicer. So I'll just and then I'll typically start with a smaller bit to drill a pilot hole. Just helps make sure everything gets nice and centered. Now that I have my pilot holes drilled, I'm going to re-drill the holes with the 25/64 inch bit that's sized properly for our threaded inserts. to install these pre-bulbed threaded inserts, we've included this little tool. The way it works is you'd put a couple of washers on your cap screw, insert that through your little tool here, and then thread on the insert, kind of get that snug. And then what you'll do is you'll use a T25 Torx bit that fits the cap screw in order to collapse the pre-bulbed insert, and it'll give you a really nice attachment. I'm going to put on a pair of gloves just so I can hold this tightly. Now place the threaded insert inside one of your holes. Try to get it flush, and then hold tight to the handle here, and then once the driver starts to really slow down, you'll know that that it's been collapsed. You don't want to go too far because you'll strip out the threads. So now I'm just going to reverse it. So you'll know it's in good because it won't be loose, it won't spin. So that's fully compressed. If you don't have an impact driver, it's probably best if you got a 1/4 20 bolt, at least 1 1/4, 1.5 inches long, and then use a socket wrench in order to do this process. But with an impact driver, it's definitely fairly straightforward. So one of the adjustment capabilities of the bracket is in the depth of the striker. Now that matters based on the width of your tailgate opening. So typically for a 58.5 inch opening, you'll need 1 to 2 of these washer spacers. For a larger tailgate width opening, let's say I think the Ram is in this category, it's about 60.5 inches. You'll need 5 to a maximum of 6 total washers in order to increase the depth of the striker. So now we'll install the bracket just with our cap screws and a washer in each slot. Again, the bracket has the striker facing inboard. And assemble those. Now I just get those finger tight for now until we know if we need an adjustment. Then let's repeat that process on the other side. Now that our brackets are installed, the basic installation is done. The rest is just adjustment. So now we're going to adjust the striker height in this slot here so that it corresponds with the channel on the side of the box, kind of like a lead-in guide channel. So that this height needs to be adjusted so that the bulb on the striker basically nests right inside that channel. So I've slid the AeroBox in, and it looks like our striker is just slightly high, so I'd say maybe about 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen the nut on the back of the striker and adjust that lower, and we'll recheck the fit. So it's really easy to adjust the striker. We just have our T45 Torx bit and a 1/2 inch wrench, and we go ahead and loosen that up a little. And slide it down the amount that we thought it would be required, and tighten it back up. So you can see that the bulb from the striker is now essentially within this channel where it will guide it all the way back here to the latch. So just as a reminder, If you have a tailgate opening that is wider than this is a 58.5 or 59.5, I'm sorry. Let's say it's up to 60.5 inches. That's when you will need to remove your striker, add some of the spacer washers so that you get some of that additional cross truck width overcome with the adjustment of the bracket. So this is how it should look with the bulb of the striker essentially within the channel of the box. So I've made a similar adjustment to the other side, just a little adjustment in the height of the striker. Again, if anything, you might want that height a little bit high, just so that as you're pushing in the box, it doesn't lock it down against the floor too tight and inhibit the ability for the box to slide forward. So now all we do is essentially generally align the box as you get it up on the tailgate and push it forward. And your box is now locked in. This might be a good time to talk about the security of the box. So it does come with two very good locks. Once those are locked, this box is extremely solid in the truck bed and very difficult to remove. In order to remove the box, unlock it, rotate the knobs, and then you get at the two grab handles on the left and the right. You just pull them up, you see the box release, close up the box again, and slide it out. For those of you who have standard assemblies, I don't think we'll do a separate video for that because the installation is so simple. In essence, you will be drilling a hole through the floor of your AeroBox into the truck bed right here in these hand opening areas, and you'll be installing a pre-bulbed insert into the floor of the bed, very similar to how we installed the inserts on the side. And essentially then you will just be screwing a thumb screw through the floor here into that insert and tightening down the box to the bed. So very, very simple installation for the standard version that does not come with the side claw latches. So essentially we're done with the installation. So final step would be just to close up the box, close the tailgate, make sure that nothing is interfering with the closure of the tailgate, and we're done. If you wind up having any unique problems or situations that you need to contact us about, please go to the Ecological website, and there's contact information there. There's maybe other helpful videos or installation instructions that you can download as well. Thank you for watching.